So I recently did a talk to 7-figure and 8-figure agency owners at a private mastermind, and I was just teaching them how they can use AI to make more money and scale their business in 2025. So I want to do that same talk with you today. What I'm going to do today is go over how I think about building AI agents and AI tools, the TOP framework that I use when I'm thinking about all this stuff, and then do some live building with you. So I'm going to actually show you behind the screens what it looks like when I'm taking an AI agent, connecting it to tools like Bolt or Lovable or Replo or any of those AI coding tools. So like I said, I was at a private mastermind. Shout out to my homie Jeremy Haynes who allowed me to talk. And the premise of this talk was that you can take your knowledge that you have, so internal knowledge or just knowledge that you've collected over the years, and you can turn that into assets that you own. And those assets can be turned into AI agents. Those assets can be turned into products or services or tools that you sell to customers or that you use internally. So you take all this knowledge and you use tools like Loom, Scribe, Guide, or any of those other AI tools that allow you to take, screen recordings and turn it into transcripts or turn it into SOPs or information. And you take it and you turn it into a prompt. Prompts are something that most people don't think deeply about, but it is the most important thing in this era of AI because it is the true moat between you and someone else. Your prompts will dictate how well your AI works, how well your AI outputs are, and it really is a science to some degree. But because you have collected all of this information and all of your knowledge, like I said, using tools like Loom, Guide, and Scribe, you're then able to easily codify that knowledge and turn it into a prompt. Now, I don't have that much time to talk about prompting, but just remember that prompting is just the ability to communicate to AI what you want or do not want to happen. So you can take things out from a prompt, you can include things in a prompt and test it. That's the best advice I can give you is test it multiple times. 9 times out of 10, a lot of people just, write one sentence and then they think that that's enough to get a good result. No, I have prompts that are 14 pages long. I have prompts that are 50 pages long. You can get really crazy with it, but the point is that if you're able to communicate and really decide what works, what doesn't work, and then take it out from the prompt or add things to the prompt, you'll have better outputs. Okay, I don't have that much time, but that is the best advice that I can give you. So step 1, you collect all your knowledge. Step 2, you take that knowledge and you turn it into prompts because again, prompts are your moat. It is your IP. It is so important that you guard your prompts once you have good prompts. And then you turn those prompts into AI tools that you own. And when I say tools, I mean like things that you can build in Bolt, Replit, Lovable, or you can build AI agents using NAN, Gumloop, or even tools like Relevance. You can do all these things once you have this understanding of how you want things to work. And it all starts by collecting your knowledge. So you take your internal insights to create these tools. So internal insights are like SOPs, resources, frameworks, examples. All of that stuff is what can be turned into a tool. And again, you can use tools like Replit, Bolt, or Lovable to do this. Now, warning, this is going to get a little nerdy just because I have to. I'm going to do my best for you guys to follow along, obviously, but it is going to get a little nerdy. I hope I have your permission to go kind of geeky here, okay? Now, when I did this presentation, I asked the audience, hey, do you know the difference between AI agents and just like regular automations like Zapier or Make? And people were like, I don't really know the difference. So I wanted to question you. Do you know the difference? The difference is when you're talking about AI agents use reasoning. So that means it's able to actually decide what tools or what prompts or what ideas it needs to use to get to that end outcome versus something like Zapier or Make. It's very sequential. It's linear. Okay. So this has to happen, then this has to happen, then this has to happen. Whereas an AI agent, it may take a different route each time to get to that end result. So that is the difference. And I need you to understand that before we go into actually building. Now, when I'm building AI agents or AI tools, this is the framework that I use, and I call it the TOP framework, okay? You have to think about what tasks, what operations, and what people or procedures can be replaced with AI before you do any of this. You have to think about it really deeply. When I get on consulting calls, that's the number one thing that I ask is like, do you even know what task, what operations, or what your people in your business, or what you even do in your business every single day? And because it's like something that people just do, they don't necessarily map it out. It doesn't necessarily come across their mind. And it is important that it does in this age of AI, because when you're able to map things out and you understand what is truly happening within your business or within your client's business, it becomes way easier for you to think about it this way and build tools or build processes that support AI agents. It's really, really important that you take this framework and start thinking about it this way. It's going to become way easier for you to build out AI agents or AI tools. Now, Here's an example of a task. Okay, so this is an AI agent that I built. And again, I'm going to build something live with you, but I just want to just show you the possibility. This is a very simple AI agent. So what happens on this AI agent is for our website, Best of AI, I have people posting tools. And this AI agent, all it does is once that tool is posted, it emails the person, says, hey, thanks so much for posting the tool. You might want to promote your tool with advertising on our site. So it kind of just sends them an email, gives them some ideas and packaging, right? Here's another AI agent that is an operation. So this particular agent is searching the internet for all different types of news in the AI space. It's taking that knowledge and then turning that into tweets or LinkedIn posts automatically for me. So this is an operation. This is something that a copywriter or a social media manager or a social media person would typically do. But now the AI agent is taking over that part of the operation. So when you think about it this way, you start to see like, okay, this particular operation of my business could be taken over by AI, right? Using the top framework, it becomes easier to identify what can actually be replaced with AI. And then finally, we have people. So this is a really awesome example, actually. So Jeremy, who's my good friend and mentor, who I spoke at his event, the 7-figure, 8-figure agency owners, he actually replaced his entire self by creating Jeremy AI. So he used a tool called Delphi AI to basically upload all of his information. So his sales training, every single message from Telegram, all different types of sources, and replicated himself and became Jeremy AI. So now what he does is in his mastermind, in his communities, he's able to deploy this AI Jeremy, and now his people can ask questions, and it's taking all that information and it's answering it on his behalf. So he kind of replaced himself there, but that's just kind of an extreme example, but it's a person or process that has been replaced with AI. Again, TOP, what are the tasks, operations, people, or procedures that can be replaced with AI in your business or your client's business? Now, before we get into the building, which we're about to in a second, I wanted to highlight something that's really important outside of the top framework and outside of, thinking and collecting your knowledge and turning that knowledge into prompts and then eventually turning that into tools, which I will show you what that means. But the point that I want to make here is that when you start to actually think about things, you need to break things down. And this is a really good post by Patrick, who said, I have an AI agent who, made $2.1 million in cash collected. Who knows if that's true or not? That's not the point that I want to kind of hint at. The point that I want to hint at here is down here where it says onboarding call gets transcribed and sent to the marketing research agent. The marketing research agent transcribe or research the target audience, core outcomes, limitations, etc. Then the market research agent sends that completed doc to a VSL agent, and then the VSL agent does this. And then, so the point is that he breaks it down, and this is how I think about it as well. For each step of the task, operations, or people or processes that you're replacing, you want to have modularity. So you don't want just one AI agent doing everything. You kind of want to break it down just like Patrick here is doing. So you have an onboarding agent, you have a marketing research agent, you have a VSL agent, etc. You have different agents who are tasked or prompted differently than other agents, right? And then at the end, you kind of combine everything. But the point that I want to reference here is the modularity of it all. You want to have individual agents for each part of the process. And when you map this out, it looks something like this, where you have the onboarding call agent, you have the marketing research agent, you have the VSL agent, you have the landing page AI agent, you have the upsell, downsell, email advertising AI agent. And then, at the end, you get 50 to 100 generated ads, right? So that's like how you could start to think about, okay, what agents in this particular one process, which is the onboarding call process, like in that process, there's many steps, right? Now, even within that, there's even more steps, right? Even the marketing research agent step, there's, the marketing research agent has to go research the target audience. He has to analyze the core outcomes and identify limitations, etc. And then if you keep scrolling down here, the VSL agent has to do more stuff. So you kind of want to get pretty granular with this because there are multiple steps that need to happen to get to your end goal. All right, enough of my yapping. Let's actually put this in practice. So remember how I said Patrick had this market research agent, and it all starts based off an onboarding transcript call. So what I want to do is actually build a micro tool using Bolt. I basically just want to have some type of input that allows me to put the transcript and press a button, and then send it to the AI agent. So let's go build that. So I'm going to open up bolt.new. If you don't know what bolt.new is, it's an AI tool that allows you to build other tools. I have a video talking about this, so you can go check it out somewhere on your screen here. It really goes into depth of how you can build these tools. But for now, I'm just going to build something really simple that allows us to input the transcript and then press a button, and it goes into our AI agent, which I'll show you how to build as well. So the first thing is inside the Bolt, I'm just going to say, I need a tool that allows me to enter a transcript and a button that sends that transcript to a webhook in N8N. So basically what I'm saying here is I want an input that allows me to enter a transcript, a button, and when I press that button, I want to basically make a phone call to our AI agent software, which is going to be N8N. It's a very popular one. I'm going to kind of be very simple here when I build out this agent and show you how it works. But the premise is I want to show you how you can build something in Bolt and connect it to N8N. All right. So we're going to have this. It's very simple. That's all I'm going to do is this one sentence. Bolt is going to take this information and basically build it out. While it's doing that, I am going to open up N8N. So I'm going to just hop in here real quick, and you can see I'm actually building some social media agents here, but let's go back to here and click on create workflow. Now, when you get N8N, it's going to look like this. It's just going to have a blank step here, and you basically have to build it out yourself. Now, there are ways that you can build it without having to build it yourself. You can use AI, you can use Claude, Floor, Opus to actually do this yourself. But I think it's important that you understand what's actually happening here. So the first thing is, in this particular step, I'm just going to click on this button. And what we need to do is search for webhook. So what's happening here is that when my Bolt app is building this, application here, what's happening is, remember I said in the initial instructions, I said we need to have a webhook in N8N. So that's the first step, is I have to call N8N to do whatever I need to do. I need to send information from Bolt into N8N. And in order to do that, we have to use a webhook. So in N8N, I'm going to select webhook. And then for the method, I'm just going to click post. Okay, you don't have to do anything else besides this if you're following along. You just have to do that. Now, the next step is we need to add our agent. So if you remember, Patrick said he had a market research agent that took that transcript and did some market research. So let's build a very simple agent that allows us to do that. So the next thing after this is I'm going to click on this plus, all right? And then I'm going to go to AI and then AI agent. And that's it so far, right? So we have two steps, the webhook, which is going to be called from Bolt, and I'll show you what that means in a second, and then the AI agent. In the AI agent step, what we want to do is click on define below so that I can give it instructions and just tell it what I need to happen. This is where prompting becomes really important when you're building out AI agents. Remember, if you have knowledge and you turn that knowledge into prompts and you turn that prompts into AI assets, it is critical that your prompts are good. Otherwise, those assets mean nothing. So when you are able to take these prompts and really understand what you want, it becomes easier for you to build out these AI agents, which is the whole purpose of building it beforehand. So what you want to do is after you click define below, you click on add option and you want to do system message. Now, this is important because this is how you kind of guide the AI. Now, of course, AI has reasoning. Remember, I said the difference between AI agents and, regular automations is the difference of reasoning versus sequential literal steps that are happening. Whereas in AI agent land, again, it is using reasoning, but you do want to give it some guardrails and you do want to kind of help it out. So in the system message, this is where you kind of tell it, hey, I'm going to give you some information. You're going to act as this thing, as a role, and then you're going to, do XYZ thing. In this case, we wanted to go do market research. So we could just say you are a master researcher who is researching a particular company and industry. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go too crazy on the prompting side, but just to give you reference on like how prompts could look, if I go into, I'm going to go here and then I'm going to go to here. Let's go here. And let's just give you like an idea of like what a system message could look like. So this is like a pretty long one, but you can get really, really deep in your prompts, obviously. And again, this is kind of a testing ground. You have to test to understand like what's happening. But the point is like you want to get pretty deep when it comes to these prompts. But for now, because I don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to show you a very simple, prompt here. So you're a master researcher who is researching a particular topic or industry. You will get info and then take that info and do research, right? So in the prompt, I would say here is your info, right? And the info is going to be the transcript. So in order to get that transcript, again, we actually need to go to Bolt and get it. So right here, if we go back here, we have our transcript of submission. So what we can do here is say, hey, my name is Jelani, right? And now it says send to webhook, but we actually need to tell or give Bolt the webhook. So if we go back here to N8N and we see webhook, we can actually take this URL, and this is the URL that we would give to Bolt. All right, so let's go back to Bolt. And I don't know if this is actually going to save. So let's actually check this. And then if it did save, what we'll need to do is go back to N8N real quick. I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to click on D to deactivate this particular AI agent just because I need to test this. So what we'll do here is I'm going to click on execute workflow and it's going to wait for me to actually call this. So if I go back into Bolt and I click on send to webhook, you'll see it says transcript sent successfully. So if I go back here, you'll see that I actually got transcript. Hey, my name is Jelani. So now we can actually use this information in with our AI agent. So you can see how powerful this becomes once you start breaking things down. That's the first step of this whole thing. Now, if I connect this back to our AI agent and I turn this back on just by pressing D to reactivate it, there's some additional things that we need to do. So we need to go to the chat model and we need to add a chat model. So what I'm going to do is just add OpenAI real quick. And you obviously need to connect your account. Very simple. All you have to do when you create a new credential, go into platform.ai.com and then you'll get an API key. But I already have mine connected, so I'm just going to close this and I'm going to select a model here. So I'm going to do GPT and let's just say we'll do GPT 4.0. Let's just use that one for now. All right, now we have our model connected to our AI agent. So our AI agent is going to use GPT 4.0 to actually do all of these different things. And you also see that we have memory and tool. So memory is basically a way for the AI agent to remember the things that it's done. That's a little bit complex, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to add one tool to this AI agent, and that's going to be a tool called Tavly. So Tavly is basically a way for you to search the web or give access to the web to your LLM. So I'm using Tavly to do the research. If you remember, the whole premise of this particular AI agent build is to do a market research. So we need to take the information from the transcript and then use that to do the market research, right? So let's go back into N8N. And then I'm going to click on the tool. So you can see here that there are tons and tons of different tools that you can actually connect your AI agent with. Not only can you connect with tools that, N8N has already created for you, but you can also connect HTTP requests or AKA APIs to third-party software. So you can see there's tons and tons of tools. However, Tavly is not one tool that N8N actually natively connects with. So we do have to actually use an API to do this. So what I'm going to do is click on HTTP request. Now, before you do anything here, it is important that you understand what an API is, but just to give you like a quick rundown, an API basically allows you to connect with other services. So if you're trying to do something like, let's say, scrape LinkedIn, for example, you might need a LinkedIn scraper API. And that API will give you the ability to then go scrape LinkedIn, for example. But in this case, what we need is Tavly's API. So what I'm going to do is hop back into Tavly and I'm going to just log into my account here. And from here, I'm going to just go to API Playground. And now here's where you can actually start setting things up. So you can have your API key and just basically like the query and all this stuff to get it working. But the cool thing about this is if you go to Shell here, where it says CURL, this is like easy mode, guys. If you ever have an API, you're not sure how to connect it, this is how, all right? So all you need to look for is CURL. So you need to make sure that the API has CURL after you decide what you want your API to do. So for example, I want my search depth to be advanced. Let's just say I want 8 results. And let's say that I want the answer to be advanced, right? So like these are the different parameters that I want this particular API to work under. Now it's going to automatically set it up for me. Now some APIs don't do this, but if it doesn't, all you have to do is read the documentation to actually get it set up. But most APIs do have something where it says CURL. And this is what you want because you want to copy this and you want to go back into N8N and you want to click on import CURL and just paste that. That's all you have to do is click on import and it's going to basically set up all these fields for you to then just use it automatically without having to really know how to set this up. All right, so all of this is set up. The only thing that we do have to do for this particular API is we need to basically set the value. So allow AI to, determine what that value is. So I'm going to click on this little star here. And what this means is letting the model define this parameter. So all of the queries that are happening, the AI is actually deciding what query that it needs to use to order to do this research, right? So in this example, AI is using reasoning. It's finding out what that transcript is, what it's tasked to do, and then using that to understand, okay, I need to go research bestofai.com. Let me put that as the search query, all right? And AI is doing all of that. So that's all we have to do at this point. Now, our AI agent has the ability to search the web. So one thing I am going to do, though, is this. I'm going to just turn this to Tavly Search and just rename that. And then in the AI agent, by double-clicking, I'm going to say, you will get info, and then you take that info and do research using the Tavly Search tool, all right? And this is just a very simple prompt. Again, you want to do more prompting than this, but this is the easiest way to build out an AI agent, right? It's basically you give it a model, you give it some tools, and you tell it what to do using prompting skills. Now, the last thing that we need to do is we need to just test this fully. So I'm going to click on execute workflow again, and then I'm going to go back here and say research best of AI bestofai.com. And then I'm going to send this to the webhook. Now, if I go back to NAN, you'll see that the webhook said research bestofai.com. You see it here. It says transcript, research bestofai. One thing that we didn't do is we didn't actually provide that information to it. So it just said, please provide the information that you have. So what we need to do at this point is we need to grab this transcript and we need to pull it in here. So it says, here's the info. And it says, if you look at down here, it says, here's your info, research bestofai.com. We just literally drag this from the webhook into here. That's all you have to do for this to work. Now, if I were to click on play here to execute just this one step, now it's going to go and research bestofai.com. You see, it's going to Tavily search and it's searching that information and it's going to provide, a pretty advanced answer in a moment. And then it's going to send it back to the AI and then the AI is going to formulate. So if I double click on this again, you'll see that I have an output that says bestofai.com is a comprehensive online platform devoted to showcasing and analyzing various AI tools and application. And it goes on and talks about some more stuff. But the point is, it did the research for us, right? And if we go back to Patrick, what he said was, hey, I want to take the transcript, send it to a market research agent, and then the market research agent would send it to the VSL agent, right? So what you could do if you wanted to kind of, take that to a step further, you could build another AI agent and then have that be the VSL agent, right? So this could be the VSL agent, and then you can add another model. Let's say you wanted to use Anthropic for the writing of the VSL, right? And then you could take this information of that AI agent. So you could just literally drag it here, right? Turn it to define below. And then drag this here. So you could say, write the VSL on this, right? And of course, we don't have a prompt in the system message, but you would, in here, you put the VSL prompt. And obviously, you're prompting, you would have already done this. The work already has been done, right? Because you already took the knowledge, turned it into prompts, and now you're turning that prompt into an AI agent or a tool, right? That's basically the premise of this whole entire thing. But for now, what I'm going to do is just delete this because I want to keep this as simplistic as possible. I want to show you one last thing, and that's how do you get this output to go back into Bolt, right? How do you show this into Bolt? So what we'll do, we'll go back here, and I'm going to say, I want you to wait for the webhook response and show the output under the transcript submission that comes back from the webhook. So basically what I'm saying is I want you to take this information, right? Research best of AI, send that to NAN, and I want you to wait until NAN says, okay, this is done. And then once it says it's done, show me what it says inside of Bolt, right? I want it to show right under here, under this transcript. So that's basically all I'm saying. So I'm going to click on enter here. And it's going to build this out for me. And at that point, what we can do is we can, as this is building out, we can actually hop back into NAN. And there's one thing that we have to do to actually make this all work, which is adding another node. Okay, so we have to add one more node here that says webhook. And we're going to do respond to webhook. So basically, this is calling the webhook, right, at the initial state. And this is saying, I want you to respond to that webhook. And what we'll do at this point is all incoming items. You could actually do JSON, but for now, we'll just do all incoming items. And I'm going to go to here, go to the initial webhook, and then go to using response to webhook node. All right. And now what that means is it's going to wait until it gets that response back and send it back into NAN. So now I'm going to click on save here, and let's just go back into Bolt and let's just see if this works. So it looks like it did what it needed to do. Let's just make sure that our webhook URL is good there. All right, so I'm going to say research bestofai.com. And let's go here. All right. And then I'm going to click on execute workflow. It's going to wait for that test to go through. So then I'm going to send to webhook. And now you can see it's waiting. Before I sent it, it said, oh, it's sent correctly. But now it's waiting for that response to get back until this is done, until the research is done in NAN. So now it looks like the research is done. And now let's see. All right, so we got the webhook response back. So you can see it sent it back into NAN. This is green, meaning it's successful. If you go back to Bolt, you'll see that the output is here. However, it doesn't really look good. It looks like JSON. So I would probably tell Bolt, hey, let's make sure that the response is seen as text instead of JSON. And this just is a formatting situation here, but you don't really need to worry about that. I just wanted to show you how you can actually get that information back into Bolt, and this is how. But at this point, you can kind of tell it whatever you want, change the colors, change the way that it's formatted, etc. But now you know how you can actually build really simple tools like this from your knowledge and from your prompts that you build from your knowledge. And it all starts from, again, collecting your information, your knowledge, turning that into prompts, and then turning that into AI assets that you own using the TLP framework, thinking about what task, what operations, what people or processes can be replaced with AI. Once you understand those things, it becomes easier to be like, okay, I need to go into Bolt to build out this, input that has a button, and then I need to send it to N8N and do some research using some tools that an AI agent has access to. But it all starts with understanding the processes that you do within your businesses and how you can actually turn those processes into prompts and eventually turn those prompts into tools. So if we go back to here, let's go back real quick just to confirm. It looks like we got an error. So let's just click on attempt to fix, and Bolt should fix this. And then we could test it one more time. All right. So it looks like it fixed the error. So let's try this one more time. So I'm going to say research best of AI.com, and then just make sure that this is in test mode. The one thing that you do want to know is when you're done testing and you want to turn this on, for example. So I could turn this on for now. And then what we'll have to do is we actually need to change the test URL to the production URL because now this is active. So what I would do is I would go into configure here and then just paste this in here and then save configuration. And then I would say research best of AI. So now I don't actually need to click on execute workflow. It's just going to execute when I click on send to webhook. So now it's running. If I go into executions here, which is how we can identify what's actually running or not, and you can see here that this is running, meaning that it took that information which I sent in, and now it's sending that into our AI agent. And now it should respond back. Now we can look here and just see what happened here and see it was successful, but it didn't actually show the data. So what I'm going to do is just copy this from N8N and then go back to Bolt and say it looked like it was successful. The data came back like this, but in the webhook response, so basically I'm just saying, like, showing it, okay, this is what it came back with. Why is it not showing me what it needs to be shown? But in the webhook response, I see, so why is it not showing the text? And then basically this is how you would be like, hey, like, Bolt, what's going on? So Bolt says, I see the issue. The webhook response contains nested objects and arrays that need to parse properly to display the actual text output. Again, I don't really know what it's doing. It's just using AI to code it, which is fine. Now it's going to fix the error, and we can try this one more time. All right, so it looks like it's fixed. So I'm going to say research bestofai.com. And again, I'm just going to click on send to webhook. We don't have to do anything. This will update in a second from an execution standpoint, just to make sure that we see it running. Now it's running and we're waiting for that data to come back. So it should come back in like 2 seconds or not. So let's see. No readable output found in response. So let's go back to here and let's see. The webhook response says no readable output found in response, but the response came back successful. All right, there we go. So now we see the webhook response. It did the research. It's confirmed to be working. The webhook was sent to the AI agent. The AI agent used our Tavily search tool to do some research, and it sent it back into bolt.new. So that is how you're able to kind of think about these types of things when you want to go and explore how to build out AI tools or AI agents for yourself. It all starts with your knowledge, your internal knowledge, or your client's knowledge. You're turning that knowledge into prompts that can be used after you test it reliably and consistently, make sure the outputs are good. And then you could take those prompts and turn it into tools or assets using tools like bolt.new or N8N to build out AI agents. So that is it. And that was the premise of that talk. I hope you enjoyed it as much as everyone else did when I did it live a few months ago. That's it for today. I'll see you in the next video.